the term documentary filmmaking is itself maybe can be called the art of information. And it's a term that was, I think, created by Peter Wintonic, who's also a good friend of mine who passed away. And he formulated this term, and I think it's important to talk about art too, because I think documentary filmmaking is absolutely a complex, of course, process, but it's also an artistic process. It is representing the world with language, which is cinema, and cinema is, at least where I come from in Europe, is an art form. I studied at art school, but of course it contains so many different types of crafts. It contains, the kind of literature and journalism and science in a way, and anthropology, because you're trying to figure out what the hell is going on in people's brains, and why do people do what they do, and why do they explain things about themselves the way they do, and how do civilizations explain themselves. I guess it's one of the questions of my latest movie we're going to see here, Become as Friends. So it is, I think in our time we are, famously, we all know that we're in this information age, and we're drowning in information. We're like swimming in the World Wide Web of information. You make one click and you have like anything you want to know about the Congo population statistic. How many people died in the last war? How long does it last? Who's responsible? What's the statistics? What is so all this information has one. It's very important, but it still is not knowledge. It's information, right? It's not the same. And to create knowledge, I think people need to be inspired. I think we can compare it to the process of children who want to learn. It's not that you tell them what is the way it is and what they should do the way they should do it. This is like negative kind of learning, I guess. And the creative kind of learning is to stimulate people's minds and people's hearts and people's, intellect with an intelligent way of asking questions, of looking for background, of looking for connections, because a movie is a kind of alchemy cocktail of people who talk, of images, of noises, of strange things that kind of come together, which all kind of are things usually that we know. We know people, what people do at war. We know what people say about things. We know how people talk about themselves. But this combination of all of this makes a movie, and the movie is a very sophisticated form of representation of the world, and it's very incomplete, of course, because it's never it's never the whole truth, and it's but also it is the quintessence of, let's say, a couple of years of the life of a person. One of the things that is certain for me is that if you want to talk about the complication of life or human beings or the big questions of our time, you can only do it when you're exposing yourself to those questions, and when you're living life fully, right? So if you say, like, I don't want to travel to India because I might get sick, how are you going to talk about the world? So you have to kind of go for it. I guess I should talk to the camera, to you guys. So just go for it and live life as full and as complete as you can, and try to. I don't know if you can try to. I mean, if you're not passionate about human beings, you're not going to make films that will make audiences passionate about your film. So I think the groundstone of being filmmakers is to be fully in life, you know. And this contains, of course, a certain risk, you know, because you can even knowing a lot of things is not always an easy thing, you know. It's sometimes easier not to know, you know. When I first was going to Africa and doing my first films, I came back in such a terrible state that I wished sometimes never have gone, you know, because it's heavy, it's difficult, you know. It's difficult to learn. It's difficult to learn, let's say, to learn a secret of a family that nobody had ever talked about, and then you find out that a grandfather was a Nazi, or there was rape in someone in your family. You know, these in French you say le squelette dans la cave, the skeleton in the cave.
In the closet.
Yeah. So when you kind of approach the skeleton in the closet of mankind, so to say, and of course it's sheer beauty too, but both is kind of difficult to take because it's so terrifying and so beautiful. So it can really tear your whole, you know, comfortable life apart, you know.